I used to weigh almost 300 pounds. At my heaviest, I was about 297 pounds. That's right. And I lost over 125 pounds in only 6 months. And believe it or not, throughout that entire 6 months, I never tracked calories. The reason why is because I didn't know how to track calories. And so I thought I would make this video because as a coach, to busy professionals, entrepreneurs, executives, I help people lose weight. And one of the first things that I tell them to do is you got to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, if you're not tracking, weight loss is going to be a bit of a mystery, right? So if you know your numbers, you know where you're at and you know when you should and shouldn't be losing weight. However, I understand that it can feel like a chore. I understand that if you're like me, when I started my journey, maybe you don't know how to count calories. Maybe you don't know which app is the best app to use. And so this video is really my way of how I lost 127 pounds basically without counting calories. And I'm gonna go into 5 different things that I did thinking back on my progress and thinking back on my journey that you can implement without ever counting calories. If you're new to the channel, if you don't know who I am, as I mentioned, I used to weigh almost 300 pounds. I lost over 125 pounds. I kept that weight off for over 22 years now. So I lost the weight when I was 19. I'm in my early 40s now. And really what I do is now I use all of that information, including my background in chemistry and biochemistry and science and so forth, to help entrepreneurs, executives, and busy professionals to drop weight, drop 20 to 25 pounds in 90 days. If you're interested in that, there's a link in the description. But let's get into the actual video here. So I'm gonna get into the first thing that I did that I knew to focus on when I started losing my weight. The first thing that I did from the get-go was I knew that I had to focus on higher protein diets because I knew from reading books and stuff, because back then it was 2002 when I lost my weight. So I didn't really have like a lot of access to, there wasn't any social media, I don't think. When you went on the internet, it was kind of looking up things maybe on like bodybuilding.com forums and stuff like that, which I never really got into. So I didn't really know where to look for information other than reading books. And I read books that told me that you should focus on a high protein diet, that's going to keep you full. And so, all right, if it's going to keep me full, it's going to keep me eating less of the other things. So I started eating a high protein diet. Now, studies have since shown that the more protein you eat, the less of the other stuff you're going to eat. You're going to just feel fuller. It's of the macronutrients of carbs, fats, and proteins. Protein is the most filling macronutrient. So if you increase your protein, then you're going to most likely eat less of the other stuff. And by nature, you're going to be lower calorie, right? If you look at a chicken breast, that's about 25 grams of protein. That's only 4 calories for every gram of protein. So it's pretty low in terms of like your calorie count, but it's also very high in nutrition. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So what I recommend and what I tell my clients is aim for 20 to 30 grams of protein for every meal, depending on how many meals you're having. Or if you want to just make it easier, think about your ideal body weight. So let's say you're a 200-pound person, you want to weigh 180, aim for 180 grams per day, 180 grams of protein. So look at your ideal body weight in pounds and have that many grams every single day so that you make sure you're having enough protein. If you get close to that, maybe you don't even hit it, but you get close to it, maybe 70 to 80% there, you're going to eat less of the other stuff. You're going to have less cravings. You're just going to be less hungry overall. And so that's going to help you to eat less, again, while not really counting calories. Let's get into the second point. The second point is drink enough water. So one thing I tell my clients, and this is something that's also backed by studies, is a lot of times, when I was losing weight, I noticed that I thought I was hungry. I thought I needed a snack, but then I would go and I would drink a big glass of water, and all of a sudden I didn't have to snack anymore. I just wasn't hungry anymore. And so it's very, very common to misinterpret and think that you're hungry and think that you're getting a hunger signal when in fact you're just thirsty. So how do you kind of check that and keep yourself in check? Easy. If you feel like you're going to reach for a snack or you feel like you might be a little hungry, go grab a big glass of water, drink a 12 to 16 ounce glass of water, wait about 10 or 15 minutes. If you're still hungry after that, then that means you were really hungry. It was a true hunger signal, and you can go and you can eat, and that's okay. But most of the time, especially when it comes kind of like that time in between meals, in between your main meals where you're maybe reaching for a snack or you're reaching for nuts or potato chips or whatever it is that you're reaching for, a lot of times it's just thirst. And so if you drink a big glass of water and you wait 10 or 15 minutes, you most likely won't want to go back to that. Just try it. Trust me. About half the time or more, it's going to work and you're going to end up not eating that snack. And again, you're not counting calories, but you're eating less. So you're going to be well on your way to your weight loss goals. Another thing you can do here to kind of get ahead of everything is just to have a big glass of water when you wake up. So I tell my clients, as soon as you wake up, before you have any coffee, before you have anything to eat, just have at least a 16 to 20 ounce glass of water. And that's going to help you to kind of set your system up so that you're not really hungry when you're not truly, truly hungry. Like you don't just feel like you're hungry. Let's get into the third point. The third point is focus on whole food sources. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean just go to Whole Foods and buy stuff, although you could do that too. But focus on whole foods. So if you're eating regular proteins and you're not vegetarian, because I do have a client that is vegetarian, it's a little harder for her. But if you're focused on whole foods, things like chicken, things like beef, things like steak, things like fish, any kind of minimally processed stuff. So in today's society, you're going to get most things that are processed. I can easily tell you, go get chicken breast. And you can easily say, hey, Eddie, that chicken breast is processed because it's not the whole chicken and it's processed through a plant and I get it. It's minimally processed. So focus on minimally processed foods, things that are kind of in their natural state. So chicken breast, chicken thighs, any kind of part of the chicken, turkey, meat, steak, things like that, fish, all of that stuff. Eggs is a really, really big one and a good one to go to. If you focus on whole foods, if you focus on fruits, if you focus on vegetables, if you focus on things that have fiber in it, so like fruit and vegetables have a lot of fiber in it, so that'll help keep you full. I can guarantee you that someone eating, and this has been backed by research, someone eating a whole foods diet mostly versus someone eating an ultra-processed diet, they've done studies to show that the people that are eating the ultra-processed food, they eat without even noticing an average of about 500 extra calories every day. Now, when I am going to tell someone to go into a deficit to lose weight, around 500 calories a day is a really good place to start. That's typically around 20 to 30% of their calories. And that's a really great way to lose weight. And so if you're just focused on whole foods, you're not having to count calories. You're by nature, organically, you're just going to eat less. And so again, another way to not worry about having a calorie counter, not worry about how much calories is this, how much calories is that, simply eating whole foods, you're naturally going to give your body what it needs. You're going to get the nutrients and you're going to feel more satiated. You're just going to feel fuller and you're not going to eat more of the other junk and you're just going to eat less calories because a lot of those whole foods in general, they have overall less calories than the ultra processed stuff. The ultra processed stuff also is engineered to look and taste good, the texture of it. All of these things are engineered in a lab so that it keeps you wanting more and eating more. And that's why people end up eating 500 extra calories. So stick with whole foods. You're going to feel fuller. You're going to eat less calories and you're not going to have to count the calories. So there you go. It's a win-win. Tip number 4 is one that I've never mentioned here before. And it's a rule called the one better choice rule. And what that means is you can apply this to every meal or you can apply this on a daily basis. What it means is make one better choice. So let's say you're going out with your friends and you're going to something like a restaurant where they have a lot of, bar food and stuff like that. And you're going to have a burger and you're going to have fries and you're going to have a Coke. Make one better choice. So that means is maybe you have the burger, but maybe you don't have the fries. Or maybe you have the burger and the fries, but you have a Diet Coke instead. Make one better choice. Studies have already shown us that making small incremental changes is going to help you to stick to your goals long term. And I think one of the reasons why, and this is something that I did, is I didn't just do everything all at once. I started to implement little things as I was learning, right? First, protein, then making sure that I was drinking enough water. I used to think that drinking too much water was a bad thing because it would increase my scale weight, which is crazy to think about now. And I've mentioned this, and I'll link at the end of this video, I'll link the story about how I lost 125 pounds in 6 months. In there, I talk about even taking diuretic pills when I was younger because I wanted the scale weight to go down by any means. And that means literally taking pills that I would buy at Walgreens or at a CVS that made me pee out the water so that I would weigh less, which is just crazy now. I look at my younger self and I think, what are you doing, right? But that's the only way that I was able to get by, and that's how I was learning. And eventually I learned that that was dumb. And I'm not judging anyone who's tried that because I did it myself. So who am I to judge? But what I can tell you is drink enough water. Water is good. Water is going to make your entire body feel better, right? And so by making one better choice at your meals, I got a little off track there, you're just adding one little thing that's positive. And it doesn't mean that you're replacing the entire meal with a salad and something boring. You're just replacing one part of that meal. And you're doing that either once a day, or you're doing that maybe you do it once a day for a few weeks and you start getting good at it. And then you say, all right, I'm going to start doing this once every meal, right? And then all of a sudden for breakfast, you're replacing one thing for something healthier. You're making that one better choice and applying that to breakfast. Or maybe you're doing that for dinner and you're saying, I'm going to make one better choice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And all of a sudden you're making 3 better choices every day. So you have to implement changes, small changes. One of the biggest things that I work with clients on is making sure that we make small tweaks that they're not necessarily going to notice that much, but that are going to have a big return and they're going to have a big impact on their goals. So there's a lot of small little things that you can do to make sure that you don't feel it as much. It's not that big of a change, but it's having a big impact in terms of how many calories you're having. And at the same time, you're not having to sit there and count calories. The last part of this and the last tip that I'll give you, number 5, is one of the most important ones. And it is something that is so easy to do, but again, it's not as easy to do. So you would think, and it's prioritizing sleep. If you want fat loss, and if weight loss and fat loss is a goal of yours, you have to prioritize sleep. You have no choice but to work on getting enough sleep and getting enough good quality sleep. The reason why is because studies have shown us that when you do not sleep enough, or when you do not sleep well, and you don't get enough quality sleep, there's a number of different things hormonally that happen that are going to make you hungrier the next day. And not only are you going to be hungrier, but you're going to be craving the wrong types of foods. You're going to be craving the salty and fatty foods, the stuff that's ultra processed. Why does this happen? I don't know. I think it's a survival mechanism. There's several books that go into theories on why this happens. But essentially, if you don't sleep well, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle the next day. So a lot of times, yesterday even, I was on a call with a client and she was saying, maybe I should get up and I should get up at 5 a.m. and walk in the morning so I can get my steps in. And then after that, and I said, well, let's look at this for a second. If getting up at 5 a.m. and going for a walk means that you're still going to get enough quality sleep, then that's a really good choice. However, if you're going to sacrifice sleep and you're going to end up not sleeping enough or not getting enough good quality sleep just to get up earlier, just to get your steps in, then I would say don't do that, because what's going to happen is she's not going to get enough sleep. And even though she got steps, she's going to be hungrier the rest of the day. And it's going to be harder for her to stick to the right foods and the right meals and the right decision making that she wants to have for the rest of the day. And so she's already fighting an uphill battle by not getting enough sleep. And so I'll tell you the same thing. And this is something that I learned probably later on in my journey, is now I think I was so exhausted from all the walking and all the exercise and everything that I did that I slept pretty well when I was losing my weight. But one of the main common things is this hustle culture that we live in, where it's, no pain, no gain, work hard, play hard, I'll sleep when I die. That's all bullshit, guys. You gotta sleep. If not, you're going to have an uphill battle when you wake up the next day. You're going to be hungrier. You're going to be craving sweets. You're going to be craving things that you don't need to be craving, or salty foods or fatty foods. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're automatically fighting an uphill battle just to eat the right things. All right. Remember, you're going through these changes and you're trying to make small changes and implement these things that'll hopefully help you build habits and get better and better without having to worry about counting calories. But if you don't sleep well, then you're going to be hungrier, and it's going to be really hard for you to fight those cravings. You cannot rely on willpower. You have to rely on strategies. I think it was James Clear who said, you don't fall to the level of your behaviors or your wants or needs. You fall to the level of your systems. And I butchered that quote, but essentially what it means is you have to have systems in place so that when life is happening around you, you can fall back on your systems and your strategies. And having the strategy of good sleep is going to allow you to be just better the next day, because you're going to be able to handle your cravings. You're going to be able to use all of these other little tactics, like focusing on more protein and more water and fiber and things like that. You're going to be able to implement all of those things in a much better way than if you don't sleep well. So please get your sleep, whatever it is that you need. Some people need 6 to 7 hours. Most people need 7 to 8 hours. I've learned that as I've gotten older, do not sacrifice a workout in the morning or something else for sleep. I know you see a bunch of celebrities, people like Mark Wahlberg and all these other people that get up at 3, 4 in the morning and they work out. Well, guess what? They're also going to sleep like at 7 p.m. So they're getting enough sleep. Don't sacrifice sleep for activity or workouts or work or whatever it is that you need to do. Get enough sleep so that you don't give yourself an uphill battle the next day. If you are an entrepreneur, executive, a busy professional, busy mom and dad, and you are ready to lose 20 to 30 pounds, maybe even more, we have a proven system that will help you get there. If you're interested in learning more about that, we can have a very, very low pressure call just to see if it's a good fit for you. The link is in the description. Just go ahead and click on the link. It'll take you to a little video where I explain to you a little bit about the system and how it works. And then after that, you're going to have an opportunity to book a call with me or someone else on my team. Just go ahead and click the link in the description if you're interested in that. And if you have any ideas for any other videos, please let me know. And if you like this video, click on this next video that's going to pop up either here or here. And that's going to show you how I lost over 125 pounds in 6 months. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.